You don't feel rich. You don't even feel comfortable. In fact, some days you feel more stressed than before. But here's the strange part. If your younger self, from 5 or 7 or 10 years ago, walked into your life today, they wouldn't say, "Wow, you've made it." They would say, "Yaar, how are you living like this?" And they wouldn't mean it sarcastically. They would mean by looking at the latest model of iPhone in your hand, the food on your plate, the room temperature around you, the way you move in your car through the city. Things that feel basic to you now would have felt unreal back then. And yet, you don't feel lucky. You don't feel relaxed. You don't feel secure. Which means something strange is happening. Because usually, more comfort is supposed to reduce stress. But for most people today, comfort has done the complete opposite. It has quietly increased pressure. And not because you made bad decisions. Not because you wasted money. Not because you're irresponsible. But because something has invisible shifted inside you. Your idea of what a normal life looks like. And once that shifts, everything else follows. Stay with me. This isn't about money tricks. This is about something deeper. Something that controls your choices. Long before you even realize you're choosing. Let's start with something very simple. Very Indian. Very ordinary. Think about a summer month. Maybe May or June. Not some abstract heat. Real heat. The kind where you wake up sweaty. The kind of time where the fan just pushes hot air around. The kind where afternoons feel heavy. Now rewind a few years. You didn't have an AC. Or maybe you had one, but barely used it. You just managed with windows open. Fan on full speed. Maybe a cooler if you were lucky and your family was rich enough. You complained, sure, but you lived. Then one year, summer hits harder than usual. Someone says, "Enough yaar, let's install an air conditioner." First few days, pure luxury. You switch it on like it's a ceremony. You set the temperature carefully. You keep checking the timer. You even feel a little guilty. You think about the electricity bill every now and then. You switch it off as soon as it feels cool enough. You tell people, the air conditioner is nice, but honestly, fan is okay also. Let's fast forward. 1 year later, you use it more freely. 2 years later, it's just on. You don't check the bill. You don't even think about it anymore. You don't discuss it. Now imagine one night. There's a power cut. 5 minutes without electricity and no air conditioner. You're irritated. 10 minutes later you're angry. You're not thinking, "I've lost a luxury." You're thinking, "How can anyone live like this?" That sentence matters. How can anyone live like this? Same house. Same city. Same summer. Only one thing changed. Your baseline. Now take food as an example. There was a time when ordering food used a careful planning. You discussed it. Shall we order today? From where? Let's not order too often. Because it was a treat. Something you looked forward to. Now, you open the app without thinking or hesitation. Not because you're celebrating. Not because it's special. Because you're tired. Because you don't feel like cooking. Because you don't want to wash utensils. No guilt. No joy. Just default. And if someone says, "Let's stop ordering for a month," your reaction isn't neutral. It feels like punishment. Not because you're addicted to food delivery, but because your brain has quietly labeled it as part of normal life. This shift, this silent upgrade of normal, has a name: baseline drift. Baseline drift is what happens when your brain recalibrates. What feels acceptable? What feels comfortable? What feels necessary? Without asking you. Not through one big decision, but through repetition. Something you once tolerated without, now feels impossible without. And the dangerous part? You don't feel happier. You just feel unable to go back. That's the trap. Think about your latest phone model in your hand. Remember when your phone slowed down and you adjusted? Now one small lag. And you're irritated. Not because the phone is bad, because your tolerance changed. Same with cabs. Same with groceries. Same with internet speed. Same with noise. Your life didn't become extravagant. It became upgraded by default. This explains something important. Why people earning 30,000 rupees and people earning 1,30,000 rupees often feel the same stress. Different numbers. Same anxiety. Because stress isn't tied to income. It's tied to baseline protection. You're not stressed because you want more. You're stressed because you're afraid of losing what now feels normal. Let's slow this down. Step 1. You upgrade something once. Step 2. You repeat it. Step 3. Your brain normalizes it. Step 4. Removing it now feels like downgrade. Not budgeting. Downgrade. That's why expense cutting feels painful. That's why simple living advice feels unrealistic. You're not cutting luxury. You're cutting identity. Now comes the most dangerous moment. A salary hike. Extra money enters your account. Before you think of savings, before goals, before security, your baseline adjusts. Bigger house, better location, more convenience. Not extravagance. Just logical upgrades. So the extra money disappears without ever feeling extra. And then one day you say, I earn well, but still feel stuck. That's baseline drift speaking. This is why people feel trapped in lives they themselves built. Not because they're weak, not because they're greedy, because the baseline moved faster than awareness. This is not about cutting everything. It's about keeping flexibility alive. First, awareness. Ask yourself, what in my life used to be a luxury, but now feels mandatory? That list is your baseline. Second, friction. Not punishment. Not denial. Occasional friction. Walking instead of cab. Cooking sometimes. Delaying upgrades. Not to save money, but to remind your brain that these are options, not requirements. Third, contrast days. Days where you live like your older self. Fan instead of AC. Simple food. No apps. Not as discipline, as calibration. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Baseline never drifts back naturally. It only moves forward, unless you actively resist. That's why every upgrade matters. Not financially, psychologically. Tonight, don't check your bank balance. Check your baseline. Ask yourself, what am I working so hard to protect that I once lived happily without? That answer explains your stress. This channel exists to name these invisible forces. If this felt uncomfortably accurate, the others will too. Because the most powerful traps don't feel like traps. They feel like normal life.